Greetings everyone, welcome to Advanced, and this game was played by none other than the recent FIDE World Cup winner and brilliant tactician and the magician of India. We have Divya Deshmukh with the white pieces against a very strong grandmaster. His name is Stamatis Kourkoulos-Arditis. He's a Greek grandmaster and a very strong player. He's 2580 and roughly 80 points more. He has roughly 80 more points than Divya. So this is going to be a tough match, but let's see how she handles top players. She goes with the white pieces e4. We have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. We have the Rule Lopez on the board. a6, Morphy's defense, knight bishop to f4, a4, and now just going for this knight to f6. And now we have castles, d6, and just going for rook to e1. d6 is it was a mostly not played that much idea, because mostly you go for b5 and all of those lines with just the knight goes here and all of those lines that happens in Rule Lopez. But here we have just bishop to d7, and now just comes bishop captures, b captures, and I think Divya had something prepared for this. She goes for d4, just opening up the center, and we have e captures. And although you could play knight captures, but queen captures is a much more brilliant idea, because here after c5, queen to d3, just bishop to e7 was played, and in this position Divya goes for her natural game. She goes for it with her style. She goes for e5, and now the Stamatis is in a lot of trouble. And you might be wondering, how is there any trouble? There is no threat in the position, but there is. That's what you have to understand, because here d captures and knight captures, and you have to be very much careful. There is a lot of pressure in this, and maybe bishop to e6 was played here, asking for a queen trade. If you trade the queens, then the position is not that bad, actually. I mean, if you trade the queens, rook gets into the game, bishop is already developed, you castle, and the game is absolutely fine. But I don't think so any attacker in this position with the white pieces will go for that. That's what Divya does as well. She goes for queen to g3, and now there's a lot of trouble. I mean, you have to be very much careful here. Bishop to d6 was played, just trying to win this knight. But again, if you had castled, I think bishop would have come in, and the position would have been very difficult for Stamatis. And Divya just develops a knight. We have knight to c3, rook to b8. Now better was again castling, but it's just very difficult idea, because yes, you could go for moves like that, but again, knight to a5, knight to h5 comes, and you don't have much in this position. But again, she is better. You're gonna have to lose some material, but again, it's just very difficult to find. And after queen caps on g7, here rook to g8 was played, and here in this position Divya goes for a very spectacular tal move. You could just move the queen away, but you have to understand the rook is coming here in this file. Your bishop is hanging. Yes, this rook is controlling the king, because you have to understand king is still in the center. So Divya, instead of moving the queen back, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try and find out this move, because if you're able to find it out, you'll be really happy. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this out. And the move is the spectacular knight captures on f7. That's right, Divya sacrifices her queen, because it's easy tactics, because that's what you have to understand. If you go for rook captures, then just queen captures, and well, if king captures, then just rook captures, and if you don't capture, then just knight captures coming. So position would be very bad for Stamatis, and he understands this. He goes for a tactic of himself. He goes for bishop caps on h2. We have king captures and queen to e7. Now asking Divya, where are you putting your queen, because your queen is trapped, and if you don't move it, if you don't do anything, then your knight is hanging, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to be material up, and you don't have much in this position. Well, that's not true, because Divya goes for a queen sacrifice again. She goes for queen captures on g8, and now after this knight captures, there is not much to do here. Knight to g5 was played, because now you're hitting the bishop twice, and there is no actual way to save it. But here rook to b6 was played, trying to save the bishop, but now comes this knight to d5, and you have to understand, you cannot go for queen to d6 hitting with a check, because then comes knight to f4, and now there is so much pressure here. There is no way you could defend everything. So here bishop caps on d5 was played, just giving back the queen, because you're not surviving the attack, but just rook caps on e7. And after king captures, when all the dust settles, when you go out of the forest where 2 + 2 is equals to 5, the path wide enough is for only one. Look at this pawn islands, and just look at this pawn structure, and just tell me who's winning in this position and who's better, and you will know it. Hey, just knight caps on h7 was played, and just see this. You don't have this, because bishop is very nicely controlling that square. We have bishop to e4 now, hitting the knight, hitting the pawn. So what does a normal person do here? A normal person maybe just gets tries to get the knight here and just gives up the bishop, but not Divya. Divya goes for bishop to g5, sacrificing even the knight, and there's a lot of tactics involved. So here Stamatis goes for it, bishop captures on e7, but just rook to e1. And now that knight is falling, and there's pretty much nothing you could do about it, but you have to be careful. If you don't move the king, then that comes with an attack on the bishop as well. So here bishop captures on c2, but just rook captures, that comes with a check. You cannot go here. If you go here, then just rook to e2, and that comes with a check, so you're going to lose the bishop. So king to f8 only move, but just rook caps on h7, just grabbing that pawn. And here Stamatis grabs the rook caps on b2, he grabs the b2 pawn, but now just comes a3, and we have bishop to d3, now trying to just push the pawn all the way, but now just bishop to e7, not taking with the rook. You cannot take it with the rook because this pawn falls and your advantage goes away. So bishop to e7 check, king moves, and now just bishop caps on c5, and now Divya is up 2 pawns. But just understand this, that it is an opposite colored bishop endgame, so anything can happen, but you have to be very very careful. You are better, but you have to win it very precisely. Here king to e6 was played, but just king to g3. Instead of this king to g3, you could win this game rightly here and now. So I'm asking you, as an endgame player, just find your endgame skills and go for the best move in this position. Try to find out how you are able to win this game. There there is a very forcing line in this position where you could just completely win this game right on the spot. So have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is g4. G4. Here rook is very nicely cutting the king off, bishop is cutting this square, pawn is cutting this square. There is not much places where the king could go. So here maybe after a move like rook to c2 trying to pin this bishop, you have this very knight rook to c6 check, and once the king goes to d5, now you might be thinking that you're losing material, but you have rook to d6, captures, and yes, you lose the pawn. But after king to g3, this is not an opposite colored bishop's endgame, this is a pawn up rook's endgame, and that's completely winning for white. And that's very very easy to win. I mean, anyone can win this. But here in this position, I mean, Divya didn't go for this. After king to e6, she went for king to g3. Both plays are very much low on the clock, so she didn't want to complicate things. So here just king to f5, but now comes bishop to b4, bishop to b5, rook to f7 check, king to e6, and rook to f8, just cutting the king off. So now it could not help out with the defense. Rook to a2, but just king to h4, and now a5. If you captured, you lose the pawn. That's exactly what Divya goes for. Bishop captures, rook captures, and just bishop to b6, just keeping an eye on the f2 pawn. And now it's only a matter of time to convert this. Bishop to c6, g4, but just bishop to f3. And Divya plays a beautiful move here, bishop to e3. Now cutting off the defense of the bishop. Now captures is a threat. So bishop to d1 was played, but just f4. Now that is amazing tactics and amazing, just vigilance. Because here, if you go for this, then just rook checks, the pickups the rook. So you're just gonna completely losing position here. Rook to c3 was played, but not, but just now rook to d8. I mean, if you pick this up here, then I pick this up here, I'll be up 2 pawns in a completely winning endgame. So bishop to c2, just moving away from this. But now a normal person would probably move the bishop anywhere in this, not there obviously, but probably move the bishop. But here Divya goes for king to g5, sacrificing the bishop because he still cannot take it. That check still picks up the rook. So king to e7, and how do you save the bishop? You go for rook to d2, because if you take it, then I take your bishop. Bishop to a4, but just bishop to d4, now attacking the rook. Rook to g3 and f5 now, but now just comes bishop to c6. Now it could be a threat, so you have to be careful. Bishop to e5 was played, attacking the rook. Rook moves, and now bishop to h2, just completely cutting off the bishop from this g square. So you cannot come here and grab the pawn from behind. Rook to f1, but now just king to g6. And now here bishop to e7 was played, rook to e2 check, king moves, and now just going for this bishop to e5, just trying to give a check, get the rook out of there, push those pawns, and get to a3. Bishop to e8 check was played, king to g7, going even further. Now bishop to d7, but now just goes for rook to d2. You have to be careful, because understand this pinning is important simply because of the fact that if you give up the bishop for 2 pawns, it's still a draw, because rook and a bishop against rook in an endgame is a draw. So that's why you have to be careful. So rook to e8 was played in this position. Anish Giri was watching this game with Chess Base India, and in this position Anish Giri said that I mean, Divya is a spectacular player, but she's not gonna find the best move, because the best move involves sacrificing one of those pawns, and the best move in this position is f6. And Divya just proves him wrong right on the spot, because indeed in this position she goes for f6. That's absolutely crazy, giving up a complete pawn, because here bishop caps on g4 was played, but the idea is just so brilliant in this position, just going for bishop to c7, and there is checkmate. There is nothing you can do in this position with that. And yeah, she played it so casually. And actually, there is no defense. If you go back with the bishop, then you have to understand the position is, I think, completely lost, because the idea is simply that if you go back with the bishop, then rook to e2 check is coming. There is no square for the king to go to, so you have to sack the bishop. And once you capture the bishop, the endgame is just completely losing. And Divya played it here on bishop to c7. He resigned, Stamatis resigned the game, and Divya got this spectacular victory, sacrificing the queen. I mean, she has really amazing tactical brilliance in every in every aspect of the game. And in just one game, she shows like 5 to 10 tactical brilliances. That's absolutely spectacular. Her games actually remind me of Tal, reminds me of Morphy, reminds me of Udit. That's why it's absolutely, every single time I cover her games, it's a joy to analyze her games. I mean, she plays it absolutely spectacularly, and this was a stunning win against a very high rated opponent and a very good player at that. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel. And I'll be seeing you guys very soon. So thank you for watching.